Hi, my name is Nicholas Hill, and this is my reflective practice presentation. The first thing we're going to do is to define reflective practice, and according to the Reflective Practice Guide book by Barbara Bassett, she starts off by referring us to the word reflection, and then she goes on to explain that once we understand what the word reflection means, we can liken our reflective practice, the term reflective practice, like looking into a mirror and then being able to clearly and fully see our practice and to give some serious thought about what we're seeing. Common reflective practice models and methods. The first one is the ERA cycle. So this cycle talks about experience, reflection, and action. So we all start with an experience, either something we've been through or something that's new to us. Then, whether that experience is positive or negative, we start to reflect on that experience and what happened. And then we think through that experience. We kind of examine like what our feelings are, what happened, and we decide on what we're, our next steps. What's our action? What are we going to do as a result of this experience? And then from that action, it creates another experience, and then the cycle starts over. The other model that I found was Driscoll's what model, and that is based on the three whats that Terry Borton asks. So it starts by us asking ourselves what the situation was or what the experience was, and that kind of gives us some context. And then we reflect on that experience by asking, so what? What did we learn as a result of that experience? And what are our takeaways? And then the next stage is the now what part. And so that is the action. What are we going to do now based on this experience and what we've reflected on? And then from that goes back to us trying something new, which goes back to the what section, which I found is very similar to the ERA cycle. So some other examples of self-reflection that I found is reflective journaling, video recording lessons, teaching inventories, and teaching portfolios. Also, some external reflection examples could be through peer observations and feedback, and as well as student feedback. An example that I found of reflective practice in action was from the TESL Canada Journal, and a teacher of academic writing engaged in reflective practice through oral recall, interviews, and self-analysis of observations. So I have a little cycle here. So she recalled the classroom events and interviews, identified the discrepancies between the beliefs and actual practice, then adjusted instructional routines to better align intentions and classroom behavior, and then that leads back to the beginning of the cycle where it creates those new events to kind of go take through the process. This is my personalized reflective practice model. So I always, when I kind of am teaching something, I always ask myself, how am I going to teach this? Then from there, I teach it. And while I'm teaching it, I will scribble down notes on my initial lesson plan and just like take notes as of what's going well and what's kind of, what I needed to edit out or add in as I was teaching the lesson. And then from there, I go into the next step, which is when I reflect what went well, what needed to be tweaked, what needs to be tweaked for next time. And then I update my lesson plan for the next time the lesson is taught. And then I go through, I teach it, ask myself how I'm going to teach it, then I teach it, and then I just keep going through this cycle as I teach. Some example of self and external reflection methods that I've adopted. I've adopted, I do a lot of journaling or notes. I take a lot of notes about what's going well in my lessons, what I need to improve on, or whatever. And then I also the second method that I wanted to adopt was just doing like a little like weekly video reflection, just kind of get my thoughts out about how everything went. Some external reflection methods. I utilized peer observations and feedback as well as student feedback. And so here's the summary of sort of my self-reflection information and external reflection information gathered while I was implementing it. So for external reflection, I asked my students kind of as we were wrapping up the school year, kind of what went well, what did they wish we did more of, stuff like that. Based on that student feedback, they wanted to do a lot more like fun game type of activities, such as Book It, which is that's a really popular one with them this year. So they wanted more of those kind of engaging activities. And based on peer feedback, it determined that my instruction needed to be more intentional with what I was teaching specifically during the small group time. Self-reflection information. I mentioned that I do a lot of notes and stuff, so I bought a program called Lesson Genie, and so that has all my lessons out. I put all my lessons in there, and then I put in all the notes about what I need to adjust and everything, and so I utilize that as my like journaling / note taking piece. And then I do reflect on it. I don't always get a chance to do like a video, but I do often reflect on like how the week went and everything. So how the implementation of reflective practice has informed my teaching and integration of new technologies. So this is where I really think about through this reflective practice process, I really think about as overall, like what is working, what's maybe worked in the past that's maybe not working now, or what have I changed to try and improve from the past that maybe I need to switch back to because it was working better than what it was replaced with. Which programs, like which programs should I let go of? Like my problem and purpose statement. Basically, students. The problem we have is that students are struggling to score well on our state test. And it's because the state test is not really designed very well for students, specifically third grade students. A lot of times the questions are written in a way that even as adults they can be confusing. So we've got to figure out a way to help our students understand the questions, so that way they can actually answer them. So the way we can do that is by utilizing the CAPS website, so state testing website. There's tools on there that we can use and we can adjust, and then other supplemental resources. There's a lot of supplemental resources that are out there at our disposal. So just make sure we're vetting them to make sure they're aligned with what we need, and then in, utilizing those extra resources to help us improve the test scores. Then this is my references page, and that concludes my presentation.